Imagine you walk out to your driveway, right? You get into this pristine $150,000 sports car.
Sounds nice.
Oh, it's beautiful.
No.
And you pour incredibly expensive premium fuel into it, but then you just stand there and you watch like a third of that fuel pour straight out through a massive hole in the bottom of the tank, just right onto the pavement.
That is painfully wasteful to even picture.
Right.
Yeah.
But that level of normalized catastrophic waste is exactly what local high-ticket businesses are doing right now.
Every single day.
Exactly. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is May 30, 2026, and today we have a serious mission. We are dissecting this really fascinating new article by Shamhav from the Service Agent blog, and it's all about the best AI CRMs for med spas.
Yeah, and, if you are listening to this right now thinking, well, I don't own a med spa, you should absolutely still stick around.
Totally.
Because this isn't simply an article about Botox or, laser clinics. It is really a masterclass in how hyper-specific vertical AI is completely replacing that generic one-size-fits-all software we're so used to.
Yeah, the landscape is shifting.
We are looking at the absolute bleeding edge of how businesses handle highly regulated, high-value customer interactions.
Okay, let's unpack this because the core premise of this article completely flips how most people think about business growth. I mean, if you ask almost any operator what their biggest hurdle is, they will, almost without fail, point to acquisition.
Right. They want more leads.
Exactly. Better marketing, a bigger billboard, better Facebook ads. But this source material reveals that the gaping hole in the gas tank is actually a retention problem.
It's the invisible bleed. And the numbers Shamhav brings to light in this piece make that leak incredibly vivid. I mean, we aren't talking about a local barbershop missing out on a $20 haircut here.
No, the stakes are way higher.
So much higher. The article highlights, for example, an $1,800 Botox touch-up that just gets missed because, a client's life got busy.
Which happens all the time.
Right. Or a $4,500 laser package where the patient simply abandons the treatment plan. They just haven't picked their second session in, 5 months.
Wow.
Or consider an $850 microneedling client. A first-timer who walks out the door means to rebook, but just never actually comes back.
And when you start stacking up those individual instances, right?
Yeah.
The 1,800 here, the 4,500 over there, that is just a staggering amount of revenue evaporating.
It really is.
And it's not because the clinical service was poor. It's entirely because the follow-up infrastructure failed. I have to imagine that before AI stepped into this space, relying on human memory or just a really busy front desk coordinator to manage thousands of these high-value touch points was just a recipe for disaster.
Oh, absolutely. And what's fascinating here is just how normalized this level of loss had become in the industry. People just accepted it. The article breaks down the historical math on this. Let's hear it. Without an AI-driven recall and reminder system, the standard no-show and ghosting rate for a med spa hovers between 15 to 30%.
Up to a third of the booked calendar. That is insane.
Yep.
And the ripple effect there is huge. Because it's not like the clinic can instantly materialize another client with zero notice, right?
Not at all.
You've got that highly trained esthetician sitting there on the clock, the treatment room is prepped, the really expensive medical equipment is just sitting idle.
Yeah. And because the average ticket price for these appointments sits between $400 and $1,500, that financial impact compounds ruthlessly.
I can imagine.
The source actually calculates that a standard 5-provider clinic loses between $200,000 and $500,000 every single year purely to no-shows and lost recalls.
$500,000. I mean, that is essentially the entire profit margin for a small business just vanishing into thin air.
It's devastating.
So, okay, if $500,000 is leaking out because of human error, the immediate question is how a piece of software actually forces a behavioral change in a flaky client. How does it fix human nature?
Well, it changes the friction.
Right, because the article notes that modern AI CRM workflows slash that 15 to 30% no-show rate all the way down to, 5 to 10%.
Exactly.
But I do want to push back on the methodology here a little bit.
Go ahead.
So the source outlines the specific AI mechanisms. It takes deposits at booking, and then it initiates these automated SMS reminders at the 48-hour mark, the 24-hour mark, and the 4-hour mark.
Yeah, the countdown.
Right. But as a consumer, I know for a fact if a business pings my phone 3 times in 2 days, I am actively contemplating blocking them.
Sure.
Doesn't this aggressive automated re-engagement risk alienating high-end clientele who expect a white glove, human touch? How does a premium business justify that level of automated harassment?
See, that is a really crucial distinction to make, and it all comes down to conditional logic versus generic spam.
Okay, conditional logic.
Right. The AI isn't just blindly blasting every single client 3 times. It utilizes a progressive escalation strategy.
What does that mean in practice?
So if you reply C to confirm at that first 48-hour mark, the subsequent texts are completely canceled. You don't hear from them again.
Oh, I see.
The 24 and 4-hour texts only trigger if the system detects a high probability of a ghosting event, meaning silence.
Ah.
Paired with that upfront deposit we mentioned, which creates a sort of psychological sunk cost, the AI is actively calculating your flight risk.
So it's a multi-touch defense system that only really deploys its heavier measures when someone goes dark?
Exactly.
I see where you're going with that. It's smart. And the article mentions my absolute favorite mechanism. What happens when someone actually does cancel at the last minute?
Oh, the waitlist automation. This is brilliant.
It's so cool.
Because think about it. A human receptionist cannot physically text 40 people on a wait list the exact second a cancellation happens at, say, 2 in the afternoon on a Tuesday.
No, they're busy checking people out or answering the phone.
Exactly. The AI, however, it instantly calculates who wants that specific treatment, who lives nearby, and it starts offering that newly open slot in milliseconds. It acts with the urgency of a business owner whose own money is on the line.
Which naturally leads to a massive question for me. If the financial stakes are this high, and the required actions are essentially just sending conditional texts and managing a calendar, what is stopping a savvy operator from just booting up a generic B2B platform?
It's tempting, right?
Very. Why not just grab HubSpot or Salesforce Service Cloud, build out some custom fields, and let it run?
It is the trap so many tech-forward operators fall into. And the article systematically dismantles why that approach fails spectacularly.
Okay, break it down for us.
The med spa industry operates under severe vertical pressures that standard B2B software simply was not designed to handle. We can broadly group these into 3 major categories of failure for generic tech:
Which are?
biological constraints, legal compliance, and operational routing.
Let's start with the biological constraints, because I think that is where the limitation of generic software becomes incredibly obvious.
Yeah, so think of a standard CRM like a digital Rolodex,
Right.
right? It tracks interactions over fiscal quarters and typical sales cycles.
Like 30, 60, 90 days.
Right. A med spa CRM, however, has to function like a literal biological clock. It inherently knows the cellular turnover and the metabolic rate of the very specific treatments it's managing.
The source maps this out beautifully. Like, if you receive a Botox injection, the AI understands the biological reality that neuromodulators wear off.
Yep.
So it triggers a highly specific 3-month recall sequence.
But if you receive dermal fillers, the AI knows the degradation timeline is much slower. So it waits maybe 6 to 12 months before re-engaging.
So different treatments get totally different schedules.
Exactly. Laser hair removal requires a completely different cadence, 4 to 6 weeks during an active series. Cool sculpting needs an 8 to 12-week revisit to check for actual fat reduction.
Wow.
A generic B2B platform just has no native concept of human biology. Building those layered, overlapping biological timelines requires endless custom coding that, honestly, usually breaks.
It's personalized medical timing, completely automated. That's wild. Then you move into the second category of pressure, the legal and compliance hurdles. Because we aren't just capturing an email address to send a weekly newsletter here.
No, we are handling protected health information, or PHI. We're talking detailed medical histories, prescription interactions, and, crucially, before and after photos.
The photos, yeah.
Generic CRMs struggle immensely with the native encrypted storage required for that kind of data.
Because taking a photo on client's facial progress isn't just generating content for the clinic's Instagram page. Legally, that photograph is a confidential medical record.
Which means if you try to use a standard B2B platform, you are forced to sign these expensive business associate agreements, BAAs.
Right.
You are essentially duct taping third-party legal liability onto software that was never built for medical privacy. If a server misconfigures and a client's treatment photo leaks from a generic marketing platform, that operator could lose their medical license.
Whoa, man.
Vertical AI absorbs that liability natively.
That legal duct tape sounds like an absolute nightmare to manage. And that feeds right into the third category, operational routing. This includes tracking third-party loyalty programs like Allergan's Allay or Galderma's Aspire natively right within the checkout flow. But the biggest operational hurdle the article flags is provider-aware scheduling.
Oh, this is where generic scheduling widgets become actively dangerous.
Let me try an analogy here to see if I have this right. It's like running a high-end restaurant where the local health department mandates that only specific chefs are legally allowed to handle certain ingredients.
Okay, I follow.
If your hostess books a complex souffle with a line cook who is only legally certified to chop salads, the restaurant gets shut down.
That perfectly illustrates the environment. In a clinical setting, an esthetician is licensed to handle facials, light lasers, and microneedling.
Right.
A nurse injector is legally cleared to administer Botox and fillers. An MD oversees the prescriptions and highly invasive procedures.
So if a med spa uses a generic online booking calendar and a client accidentally books a complex dermal filler appointment with an esthetician, the business hasn't just made a scheduling faux pas, they have created a massive legal and medical liability.
Exactly.
The specialized AI CRM inherently maps the licensing rules and procedure restrictions to every single staff member's availability.
And this is the absolute crux of why vertical tech is winning. A generic platform might handle one of these pressures if you throw enough custom development at it.
Maybe.
Right? But a purpose-built vertical CRM handles the biological timing, the HIPAA compliance, the proprietary loyalty points, and the legal scheduling restrictions natively, just right out of the box.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because once you accept that generic software just won't survive these pressures, you have to look at the tools that are purpose-built for this space. The article maps out the current AI CRM landscape, and it highlights 7 specific platforms.
And the author's primary advice here is crucial for anyone listening. Operators must choose based on their practice profile, not by just comparing some massive feature checklist.
That makes sense.
The landscape groups vary logically depending on what kind of business you are actually running.
Let's look at the first group then. The platforms obsessed with user experience and capturing the booking. You have Boulevard and Mango Mint.
Right. Boulevard is really the dominant force for high-end, heavily brand-focused spas. They prioritize a premium user interface and really deep retention automation.
Like an Apple Store vibe.
Yes. They want the software to feel like a high-end extension of the physical spa itself. Mango Mint, on the other hand, is the absolute heavyweight when the priority is frictionless booking conversion.
I want to dig into why Mango Mint focuses so heavily on frictionless conversion, because the article touches on their invisible booking checkout flow.
It's really clever.
If I'm a consumer scrolling on my phone at, say, 11 o'clock at night, and I suddenly feel the impulsive urge to book a chemical peel, I do not want to create a username, verify my email, and navigate 5 drop-down menus.
You'll just abandon the cart.
Exactly.
Mango Mint's mechanism removes every possible point of friction so that the late-night impulse buyer can secure a spot and pay a deposit in seconds. They deeply understand the psychology of the modern consumer.
Okay, so Boulevard and Mango Mint are for the modern, aesthetic-driven independents. But what if the practice profile shifts? What if it's a physician-owned spa dealing with heavy medical procedures?
That pushes you into the clinical and compliance heavyweights. Here you have platforms like Patient Now, which offers incredibly deep electronic medical records EMR and granular financial reporting that's suitable for a medical director.
Got it. And if the clinic operates in a state with, like, really draconian medical board audits, the article points toward Aesthetics Pro, which is entirely built around audit-heavy compliance and native e-signature consent forms.
Yes, very specific use case.
Then there is Pabao, which is fascinating. It originated in the UK and is expanding rapidly in the US. It provides EMR-style clinical charting, specifically tailored for small to medium-sized clinics.
It's all about matching the software's core philosophy to the clinic's legal reality.
Now, what about scale? If I am a massive franchise operator and I have 50 locations across 3 states, I assume Boulevard's beautiful UI or Pabao's charting just isn't enough. I'd need something that gives me a god's eye view of my entire empire. Is there a platform built for that level of complexity?
There is, and that is exactly where Zenoti enters the picture. It's the enterprise giant.
The big leagues.
Oh yeah. It essentially rules the multi-location franchise space because its entire architecture is built for multi-site analytics, sweeping operational control, and standardizing protocols across hundreds of providers simultaneously.
Okay, so we have mapped out 6 primary platforms. Whether an operator chooses Mango Mint to capture the late-night impulse buyer, Patient Now for clinical depth, or Zenoti to run a 50-location empire, they have theoretically selected the perfect core engine for their business.
Theoretically.
But the article reveals a massive vulnerability. Even with the absolute perfect CRM humming along, there is still one glaring blind spot.
Yep. Because all 6 of those primary platforms share one fundamental limitation. They are designed to manage the patient's data, biology, and booking after that patient has interacted with the system.
Right. What happens before they are in the system? Picture the physical reality of a med spa at, say, 12:30 p.m. It is the absolute peak of the lunch rush.
Chaos.
The lobby is completely full. The front desk coordinator is checking out a client, trying to upsell them on a medical-grade skincare routine while simultaneously pulling up the loyalty points for the next patient walking through the door.
The physical constraints of human bandwidth are totally maxed out.
Exactly. And right at that moment, the phone rings. It's a brand new lead calling to inquire about a $1,500 laser package. The front desk simply cannot answer it.
It just can't.
The call goes to voicemail. And in this market, a premium consumer does not leave a voicemail. They hang up, they click the next Google search result, and that $1,500 lifetime value walks right into a competitor's clinic.
Or consider the alternative scenario, which is just as bad.
Yeah.
The phone rings at 8:00 p.m. on a Sunday when the clinic is completely dark. The result is exactly the same.
Right.
This is the top-of-funnel leak. The marketing dollars successfully made the phone ring, but the human infrastructure completely failed to catch the revenue.
This is where the source introduces the 7th platform, Service Agent. And it is vital to understand that Service Agent is not trying to replace Boulevard or MangoMint.
No, not at all.
It is an AI voice layer that sits directly on top of them.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we are witnessing a fundamental shift in how small businesses deploy artificial intelligence.
That's huge.
We are moving away from AI as a simple text message reminder tool and entering an era where AI acts as a fully autonomous, conversational front desk employee.
The mechanics of this layer are wild. I mean, it isn't just taking a message. This AI answers inbound inquiries 24 hours a day. It has native Spanish language coverage, which instantly expands the clinic's demographic reach.
Absolutely.
And it actually holds a dynamic conversation.
It qualifies the lead. If the caller asks about recovery time for a specific peel, the AI pulls from the clinic's knowledge base to answer accurately.
Wow.
It checks the caller's request against the complex legal routing we discussed earlier, ensuring they don't accidentally book a doctor's procedure with an esthetician.
And once it qualifies them, it automatically rates that appointment directly into the primary CRM's calendar, whether that is Zenoti or Patient Now. It completely plugs that final hole in the gas tank.
It creates a fully closed loop of revenue capture.
Yeah.
Think about it. The marketing generates the interest. The AI voice layer catches the lead at 8:00 p.m. on a Sunday and books the consultation. The primary AI CRM takes the deposit, manages the aggressive but conditional reminder sequence, fills the slot from a waitlist if they happen to cancel, and then automatically triggers the biological recall sequence 90 days later.
An invisible, highly calibrated machine working endlessly in the background. So what does this all mean?
That's the big question.
If we step back and distill the core formula presented in this deep dive, it really comes down to a very specific equation for local businesses. In 2026, a successful med spa CRM equals patient health records, plus frictionless aesthetic booking, plus autonomous AI retention workflows.
The takeaway for you, the listener, whether you are building technology yourself, running a physical service business, or simply trying to understand the systems quietly running your local economy, is that generic, one-size-fits-all software is losing to highly specific vertical intelligence.
It just can't compete.
AI that intimately understands human psychology, regulatory nightmares, and biological degradation is infinitely more valuable than a blank database.
It's brilliant. It's not just holding data anymore. It's actively defending the business's bottom line. But before we wrap up, I know you have one final thought looking just beyond the horizon of this article.
I do. This entire source material centers on the AI's ability to manage waitlists in milliseconds and track exact biological timelines to maximize revenue, right?
Right.
But this raises a really important question. What happens when these vertical platforms begin implementing real-time dynamic pricing?
Oh, wow. Like the airline or rideshare model applied to local services?
Precisely. I mean, we already accept that an airline charges more for a window seat on a Friday evening.
Sure.
What happens when the AI CRM calculates that a Saturday morning appointment with a lead injector is a highly coveted slot, sees 5 people on the automated wait list, and dynamically increases the base price of the treatment by, say, 15% for that specific hour.
The ultimate supply and demand algorithm.
The flip side of that is even more interesting, though. What if the AI analyzes your specific behavioral data and determines you are a 40% flight risk for a no-show based on your past cancellations?
Oh, they know you're flaky.
Right. Could the algorithm automatically text you a targeted micro discount, offering 10% off if you prepay in full right now, just locking in the revenue?
So the schedule isn't just a calendar anymore. It becomes an actively traded commodities market.
Exactly.
When the AI knows the exact financial value of every minute and the psychological profile of every single client, manipulating the price point to ensure maximum efficiency honestly feels inevitable.
It is the next frontier of vertical automation.
That is an incredibly provocative concept to leave you with. The next time you book a local appointment or get a perfectly timed reminder text that magically references the exact procedure you need, take a second to think about the invisible machinery working behind the scenes.
It's always running.
It's not just sending a text, it's tracking biology, navigating liability, and making sure not a single drop of that premium fuel leaks out of the tank. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and we'll see you next time.